Picture this. You're swimming in the open ocean. The water's warm. Sun's hitting the surface. Everything looks beautiful. And then something rises from below, the size of a bus. No, make that 2 buses. And it's not a whale, it's a predator. The biggest predator that ever swam these waters. But here's the thing, the Megalodon wasn't even the scariest creature that ever lived in the ancient seas. Today we're talking about the ones that are gone. The creatures that ruled the ocean millions of years before the first human ever walked to a shoreline and looked out at the water. And trust me, some of them would have made a Megalodon look like a snack. Before we dive in, here's something most people don't know. Humans and these monsters did not exist at the same time. This isn't Ice Age. This isn't Jurassic Park. The most recent creature on our list went extinct roughly 3.6 million years before Homo sapiens ever showed up. We're talking about spans of time so vast, the human brain genuinely can't process them. And that's exactly what makes this so incredible. Everything we know about these animals comes from fossils, teeth, bones, skulls preserved in rock for hundreds of millions of years. And from those fragments alone, scientists have reconstructed a world that will make your hair stand up. So, welcome to the ancient ocean. Chapter 1. Dunkleosteus, the first king of the seas. Let's start at the very beginning. About 360 to 380 million years ago, that's 130 million years before the first dinosaur ever set foot on Earth. This era was called the Age of Fishes, and ruling over it was a monster called Dunkleosteus terrelli. It looked like a fish, in the same way a tank looks like a bicycle, up to 9 meters long, weighing up to 4 tons. Its head and chest were covered in thick, bony armor plates, basically a full suit of medieval chainmail. And it had no teeth at all. Instead, it had self-sharpening bone blades that worked like a pair of scissors. Here's the wild part. Scientists actually measured the bite force of Dunkleosteus. According to research published in NBC News citing Field Museum data, that bite clocked in at 11,000 pounds of force. One of the most powerful bites of any animal in Earth's history. And those jaws opened in just 1/50th of a second. So fast, it created suction and literally vacuumed prey straight into its mouth. Here's a fun detail. Dunkleosteus was so heavily armored that when it died and sank to the ocean floor, the soft body would decompose within days. But that armored skull? It just sat in the mud for centuries. That's exactly why we almost only find the heads. One of the best preserved skulls in the world is on display at the Cleveland Museum of Natural History in Ohio, where it's been nicknamed Dunk. This thing ruled the seas for 25 million years, until a mass extinction event at the end of the Devonian period wiped out nearly all life on Earth. Chapter 2. Helicoprion, the shark with a buzzsaw for a mouth. Alright, here's a riddle for you. In 1899, a geologist in Russia dug up a fossil. It was a spiral of teeth, like a snail shell, but made entirely of razor-sharp teeth. No body, no bones, just this terrifying spiral. Scientists spent decades trying to figure out where it even came from. Some thought it was a fin, others said the tail. A few actually suggested the teeth stuck out of the creature's nose. It wasn't until 2013 that researchers at Idaho State University ran CT scans on a unique specimen and built a full 3D reconstruction. The answer? The spiral sat inside the lower jaw. And when the animal closed its mouth, it rotated backward like a circular saw, slicing through prey from the inside out. Meet Helicoprion, which literally means spiral saw. It lived around 270 million years ago. It grew up to 6 or 7 meters long, and technically it wasn't quite a shark, it was closer to a chimera, a distant cousin of sharks and rays. But it remains the only animal in Earth's history to have had a complete 360-degree spiral tooth whirl. It mostly fed on squid and soft-bodied prey, using that whirl to hook and slice through slippery targets. Its fossils have been found in Russia, the United States, and Australia. The largest collection in the world is at the Idaho Museum of Natural History. And here's what gets me. We still don't know exactly what its body looked like. Like sharks, its skeleton was made of cartilage, which doesn't fossilize. So Helicoprion is, quite literally, a creature we know almost entirely from its teeth. Chapter 3. Mosasaurus, the monster of the Mesozoic. Let's jump forward to about 80 to 66 million years ago, the age of the dinosaurs. While T-Rex was stomping around on land, the ocean had its own ruler. and that was Mosasaurus. Quick thing, a lot of people assume mosasaurs were dinosaurs. They weren't. They were marine reptiles, more closely related to modern monitor lizards and Komodo dragons. At some point, their ancestors decided to head into the sea, and evolution gave them everything they needed to dominate it. Mosasaurus reached up to 15 to 17 meters in length, about the size of an articulated city bus. But its signature feature was its double-hinged jaw. Like a snake, it could actually flex both halves of its lower jaw outward and swallow prey whole. Combined with backward curving teeth that made escape nearly impossible, it ate everything: sharks, sea turtles, other marine reptiles, fish. Fossils have even been found with pterosaur remains inside, meaning it was hunting flying reptiles that got too close to the water's surface. According to paleontologists, mosasaurs were among the most successful marine predators of their entire era. Their fossils have been found everywhere, from Europe to North America to Antarctica. Mosasaurus vanished alongside the dinosaurs about 66 million years ago when an asteroid impact fundamentally changed the planet. Chapter 4. Livyatan melvillei, the whale that hunted whales. Okay, this is one of my personal favorites, because the story of how we found it reads like a detective novel. 2008, Peru, the Pisco Desert. A researcher who was there on a school field trip spots a bone sticking out of a cliff face. It turns out to be part of a skull, a massive one. After excavation, it becomes clear this is an entirely unknown species of extinct whale. They named it Livyatan melvillei. Livyatan after the biblical sea monster Leviathan. Melvillei after Herman Melville, the author of Moby Dick. And that name is completely deserved. It lived about 9 to 13 million years ago. It reached 13.5 to 17.5 meters in length, roughly the size of a modern sperm whale. But a modern sperm whale is a relatively peaceful squid hunter. Livyatan was a killer sperm whale. It had fully functional teeth in both its upper and lower jaws. Each tooth up to 36 centimeters long, larger than a Megalodon tooth. According to paleontologists, these are the largest teeth of any known predatory animal in Earth's history. It hunted other whales, ones 7 to 10 meters long. Think about that. A whale actively hunting other whales. It likely did so in pods, similar to how modern orcas operate. And here's the most mind-blowing part. Livyatan and Megalodon lived at the same time in the same waters off the coast of Peru. That was arguably the most intense predator competition in the history of the world's oceans. Chapter 5. Megalodon, the legend you already knew. Alright, time to talk about him. Megalodon, Otodus megalodon, meaning big tooth. It lived from roughly 20 million to 3.6 million years ago, across tropical and subtropical oceans worldwide. Size-wise, based on the latest science, up to 15 to 18 meters. According to the Natural History Museum in London, the largest individuals may have weighed up to 94 tons. For reference, that's heavier than a blue whale, the largest animal alive on Earth today. Its teeth were the size of a human hand. Bite force, around 40,000 pounds. A great white shark bites at roughly 4,000. So Megalodon was 10 times more powerful. Here's a fact that not many people know. From a study out of UCLA, Megalodon was warm-blooded. It maintained a body temperature about 7 degrees Celsius warmer than the surrounding water. That's extraordinary for a fish, and scientists believe the massive energy cost of staying warm may have actually contributed to its extinction. So why did it go extinct? According to National Geographic, the most likely date is around 3.6 million years ago. The causes were a perfect storm: global cooling, the disappearance of the large marine mammals it relied on for food, and competition from a rising predator, the great white shark. That's right, the great white is one of the leading suspects in Megalodon's downfall. It was smaller, more adaptable, and when prey populations began crashing, Megalodon, this enormous machine that needed tons of food every single day, simply couldn't survive. The last Megalodon died 3.3 million years before the first human ever existed. So, 5 creatures, 5 eras, hundreds of millions of years of history. Dunkleosteus, Earth's first apex predator; Helicoprion, the shark with a saw for a mouth; Mosasaurus, the monster of the Mesozoic seas; Livyatan melvillei, the whale that hunted whales; and Megalodon, the legend that became the symbol of everything we've lost. Everything we know about them is fragments of stone, pulled from rock formations around the world. And from those fragments, scientists rebuilt entire lives, entire ecosystems, entire battles that nobody was ever alive to witness. And here's what I think is the most unsettling part of all this. We've explored less than 20% of the ocean floor. Down there in the deep, there are creatures we haven't described yet. Some of them are so ancient in form that scientists call them living fossils. The ancient ocean is gone, but the deep isn't. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe, hit like, and drop a comment. Which of these monsters would you be most afraid of? Personally, for me, it's Helicoprion. Something about that spiral saw just gets under my skin. See you next time.